We are Social Blade.
Speaking of the Cove, there was a documentary which recently won Best Documentary at the Oscars this past weekend. And, a lot of people probably tuned into the Oscars, saw it, other than the fact that the producer of The Cove, or one of the producers of The Cove, was also the guy who played the Plague in that movie Hackers, featuring Angelina Jolie. One of the producers also used basically the platform of the Oscars to spread the word about their cause, which, seems pretty noble. And so he held up this, poster that he rolled out, and it said, like, text dolphin to 44144. And it was pretty clever because a lot of people know about these text-based schemes, in the regarding causes pretty well, especially since the Haiti earthquake and the Chile earthquake. People can text things to the Red Cross and donate and all that good stuff. But with this text, it did something different. What it did is that it automatically subscribed you to a SMS scheme that would basically keep you updated on how to hook up with the producer's Facebook fan page, getting to their website, following them on Twitter, and all sorts of good stuff. So basically, the story here is here's an instance where someone is using one of the oldest media-based platforms, aka the Oscars, during their acceptance speech, and trying to seed some social media efforts. And it was recently covered in Mashable the other day. But it's pretty significant. I mean, who's to say that that's not a good way of doing it still? I mean, if you were accepting a speech, if you're having to give an acceptance speech at the Oscars, with your posse, and you had like literally, 10, 15 seconds to say something, wouldn't you want to focus on the cause that your very documentary, your very production was about? And so, here's an instance where, someone literally used their 15 seconds of fame to basically start this whole wave of online activism. And I know that a lot of people think that online activism is kind of diluted, that, people can just blindly join Facebook fan pages and retweet stuff and never really interact with kind of the core of the issue. But I still think it's very interesting, though. That this is one way that I think people can bridge the old media social media gap. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody can do, for the most part, can do SMS text messaging, and if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, BlackBerry, Android, whatever, you'll get these texts, and you can directly link up to their Facebook page, their Twitter page, and start getting kind of more consciously involved with the sort of online aspect of what their goals are. Aside from the movie, aside from the Oscars, that this was a way for people to connect with what their cause really was about. And so, I think it's kind of a unique ploy that they pulled during the Oscars. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and
It was
actually,
definitely interesting.
yeah, one of the things actually the Oscars did, which they thought they were probably doing good, but I think really enforced the social media aspect even more, is they tried to pull the camera away as soon as possible. And as a result, a lot of people didn't fully get the number, but they went to social media and Twitter and other things, like myself. I was asking on Twitter, did anyone get the full number? And I got a whole bunch of responses. And as a result, I tried to sign up, and I've gotten a couple of Bitly links from them now, directly into their site. Yeah.
Well, totally. And, I mean, I know people are trying to kind of talk about how effective was that. Well, I mean, truth be told, 10 to 15 seconds, I mean, whatever minute amount of time that they received on stage resulted in, who knows how many hundreds of thousands of unique impressions and views on their web pages, their Facebook fan page, their Twitter page. I mean, the numbers continually rose up after that moment. And so I think that, 1 or 2 seconds on one of the largest stages that we have in the world, from a old media broadcasting perspective, can result in a sort of extended campaign online. That because of the nature of online platforms, it's much easier to impress people, get people involved just from that 1 or 2 seconds from that Oscar broadcast. So, I think it's a big point, and I think that, in the future we're going to see a lot of people trying to use, these spotlights, and I think the Super Bowl is one of those examples when, every other commercial really was trying to pronounce, follow them on Twitter, find them on Facebook.
I guess the big thing here is not so much that the fact that it happened during the Oscars, because I, for one, didn't turn into the Oscars. I was watching a pay-per-view event where Muhammad Ali and Michael J. Fox were in a thumb wrestling match, and I found that more interesting. But I think the big thing here is that the capability of this to happen is the big story there. Don't you guys think?
Oh yeah.
I totally agree.
You know, the stories in, you know, continually trying to bridge the gap between, you know, a medium like television and, you know, the open-ended platform that is the interwebs. And so, you know, I think that as marketers and, you know, people who are in charge of conceptualizing things like commercials, you know, broadcast displays, I mean, they're the ones that are going to have to figure out, okay, well, you know, we got a 20-second spot in between, you know, two segments of Lost. How are we going to optimize this 15, 20 seconds so that they can get residual impacts, you know, in things like, you know, following their company or whoever their clients are on Twitter, you know, Facebook, websites, you know, integrating them more with what is really going on with the web presence side of all these brands.
Invading the internet, covering Web 2.0, coast to coast, worldwide, and everywhere in between. This is where you put the social in social media. We are Social Blade.